Everett Scott was a big, big deal for me.
How was your day?
And I thought I thought it was sort of a you know, I thought I'd have to explain this to Emma and Ryan, but I remember very well the day that Emma asked me, "Oh, who do you have playing my husband at the end of the movie?" And I said, "Oh, Tom Everett Scott." And immediately she cuts right in going, "That thing you do!" And then she calls over to Ryan, says, "Guess who's playing my husband?" Ryan's like, "Who?" She says, "Tom Everett Scott." And Ryan yells, "That thing you do!" And they started to basically proceed to quote "That thing you do" for the rest of the shoot in what became a very annoying refrain. Because they know the entire movie by heart. Did you know this? Emma knows "That Thing You Do" by heart.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that they geeked out over it. I didn't know she knows the whole movie by heart.
Oh yeah, no, she could recite like every line. I mean, again, I thought I was the world's biggest "That Thing You Do" fan, but she completely one-upped me. I think to the extent to which, by the time Tom Everett Scott started shooting, I think we were all kind of creeping him out with our...
Also, I kept giving him
fanboyism.
back massages, too, which I think creeped him out.
Why were you giving Tom Everett Scott back massages?
I just like to give actors back massages.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys. Nice to meet you.
Good night.
I remember one weird detail, some reason comes to mind when we were shooting this, or sorry, when we were mixing this, sound mixing this with Andy Nelson, our sound mixer. You spent a lot of time trying to think of what does LA sound like,
I do not miss this.
and we were trying to kind of give you the sense of being in this traffic jam. So we threw a lot of car horns in it, so you were hearing a lot of angry horn honks, and but putting it over the soundtrack, sound design wise, it immediately didn't sound like LA. It sounded like New York, and I realized in LA you don't actually hear the kind of clogged up cacophony of horn honks the way you do in a city like New York. So we replaced them with helicopters. For some reason, as soon as you put a helicopter in, you feel like you're in LA. Again, I don't know exactly why. It's that sort of irony. There's no city that has more cars than LA. But too many honks too close together, it starts to feel like street traffic. If you look at a great LA movie like Collateral, like Michael Mann's Collateral, you don't really hear horns in that. You're behind the wheel the entire time. You hear the rolling of cars, but really you hear helicopters. It's sort of a somewhat eerie LA sound. And then this is Sebastian's jazz club that he's sort of created in many ways along the lines of what Mia suggested to him. Reappropriating his stool, his picture of Bill Evans, his pictures of John Coltrane and Thelonious Monk.
The piece they're playing is one of the songs from Guy and Madeline. Again, it's us just trying to be cute. It's like our joke that those songs are, they're like actual standards.
Yeah, even in Whiplash, there's you hear some Guy Madeline music when Miles Teller and his dad, Paul Reiser, go to the movie theater. You're hearing a Guy Madeline track playing as though it's the
trailer.
The trailer music for like a French New Wave movie.
Well, because in our universe, Guy and Madeline was a huge hit that everybody knows. It's just a huge part of pop culture.
It's basically redefined pop culture. Yeah. We much prefer our mythical universe to the real one.
And a little too good on piano, so good he's gonna own this place if I'm not careful. Kyrie Tyler, everybody.
That's, one of my favorite things that happens in the movie. It's just the way Ryan and Emma play that. The look on Ryan's face, and then the way he kind of holds it in and says, "Welcome to Seb's." Of course, it's the name that she suggested to him. I mean, there's just so much unspoken feeling in that. And it's the last line he says in the movie. It's the last real piece of dialogue in the movie. The rest of it just gets sublimated into this melody. It's the first melody you ever wrote for this movie.
Yeah. The main theme.
Yeah, you did about 1900 piano demos?
A little over
for this movie?
1900 piano demos to find, just at the beginning, to find the melodies. They weren't all 1900 different melodies, because there would be something we'd like, and then I'd go down that road for a while in developing it. But
I remember, like,
lots of
a lot of times, I mean, because we wouldn't have names for these songs until well, this was never a song, you know, but we wouldn't have names for score cues or songs till late in the process. So I would just know these things as like this was theme 31B,
N.
right? Theme 31N.
Yeah, because once we got to 31, I was like it started the way that it starts, da 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 da, but then it sort of started to go off. So started developing. Oh, where else can it go? Where else can it go? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It was N until it was, because then there was the whole B section too. The da 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 da. So it took a lot of shaping, and theme 31N I think was where we locked it in.
Yeah. That was after living with theme 16 for a while.
For a while, yeah. We theme 16 we thought was the one, and then lived with it and thought, I think we can do better.
I don't know. I miss theme 16. This movie would have been so much better with theme 16.
Yeah.
People, you don't know what you're missing. Theme 16 is where it's at.
Lost to history.
Yep. But I mean, the thing that the numbers kind of remind me of is, you know, just that, again, I think this was even before, I forget whether there was even a draft of the script yet. There was, I remember, you know, certainly the story having been hashed out, but very early on, you know, I didn't really want to take many steps further until what was going to be the main theme of the movie, the sort of musical melody that had to tie everything together, until that was figured out. And then I was just playing that on a loop. I think your piano demo of it, you know, even though it was only about 10 seconds long, I just kind of played on a loop as I wrote the scenes. And then every time you would kind of have a new piece of material, a new song, a new piano demo, that would become, again, the soundtrack I would write to. So it's this kind of back and forth process.
So here, of course, we're kind of rehashing a lot of the material, all the material from the movie. So I've orchestrated it differently.
And also rehashing kind of the places that they've been to. You know, that was Watts Towers, the sort of stage doors, obviously kind of, you know, the sort of bandwagon style version of her black box theater that she does her play in. Here was our kind of version of the traffic number, you know, kind of going up that ramp. And then this kind of glorious painting behind it that sort of ran the entire stretch of this soundstage, done again by David Wasco and Sandy Wasco and their entire team. And then all choreographed by Mandy Moore, who was obviously one of the key kind of collaborators on this movie. One of the first people to come on board, I think, you know, once we had sort of music team and once we were sort of set up at Lionsgate, we immediately set out to find a choreographer, and Mandy came on board, and we just started hashing out this number and every number right away. But this was one of those sequences, like the planetarium sequence, that was pretty much demoed and sort of storyboarded and drawn up pretty early on. That painting of Paris right there was done by Rocco Giaffre, a wonderful matte painter. I remember my directive to him always, every time he would do a version of that painting, was to make it worse, because it always looked too good, too representational, too detailed, and I wanted a little bit of, that sort of, those smacks of painting, those gobs of paint on the surface, get it a little bit away from representational style. And then this red jazz club, that's kind of a Cabo de la Huchette takeoff, it has the sort of, that's a famous jazz club in Paris with these sort of crypt-like archways, has the sort of medieval crypt feel. So the Wascos took that and smashed it together with the red jazz club in the Broadway Melody Ballet in Singing in the Rain, where Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse have their first dance. And then I always loved this idea of diving into a trumpet and that becoming an iris. I kind of tried a little bit of the diving into the trumpet thing in Guy and Madeline, but we couldn't actually dive into a trumpet, so we did that here. And I don't know if you were there on the take where it was like three or four takes in where the camera ran into the trumpeter.
Yep, I was there. That was scary.
Yeah, we almost busted open his lip, which is not good for a trumpeter, and thank God it didn't happen.
So this is, the 95-piece orchestra again, plus now we have a 40-person choir. And we always knew that at the end of the movie we wanted to incorporate this big sort of heartbreaking choir, kind of in the way that the end of Umbrellas of Cherbourg did.
Yeah, that always just, that ending and the sort of liftoff over the Esso gas station with the choir reprising the theme at the end of Umbrellas is just always got me. And also the overtures to Disney movies from like the 30s and 40s and 50s. If you see like the overtures to Alice in Wonderland and Sleeping Beauty, it's they take the main themes, but they do them as choral renditions.
And it's a highly divided choir, so sopranos, altos, tenors, basses, everybody's divided 2, sometimes 3 ways to get that real richness and a lot of dissonance and suspension in those harmonies.
And then this idea, so it had always been written into the script that we would see the stuff kind of unspool as though it were projected kind of 16mm footage. And the Wascos, as they were putting together visual references, showed me a moment from a movie I love, but I'd forgotten this moment in Murnau's Sunrise, where the two lovers sit down and kind of watch a projected version of kind of their romantic idol, their lives. So we took that idea, I loved it, to have Ryan and them actually sit down in the frame and watch this sort of alternate version. And I should point out that kid that we credit as Fantasy Baby in the credits is the son of Jordan Horowitz, our producer. So this was obviously the one part of the movie that we were not allowed by the producers to cut, was anything having to do with Arthur Horowitz. Even though I think he kind of overacts, don't you?
Yeah, no Academy Award nomination for him.
And speaking of overacting, that's you on the piano.
Hamming it up, like usual.
Yep. And, but these notes we hear, was this from the original demo or something? I just remember I fell in love with the kind of the raw sort of audio that you recorded in your apartment of you playing. So after all the stuff of the, the orchestra and everything that we had kind of redone on the soundstage, I wanted to go back to that just kind of raw piano.
That's something I recorded the first week that you and Tom were editing. You asked for me just to quickly record something in my apartment. I didn't know it was going to be in the movie, so I just, on a USB mic, distant from the piano, recorded it. But it ended up, I think that distance and that mono quality and that rawness ended up being what you were, you liked it better than the pristine studio recording that we got later.
The other thing that was also, I remember, if you remember at the very beginning, the first thing Ryan played, first time he plays the first bars of the theme on the piano, that's actually Ryan playing live on a muted piano.
Yeah, with felt on the strings.
With felt on the string, because obviously we intended to put, post-record an actual recording over that, and I just fell in love with, again, just this sort of, I guess, I don't know, the tentativeness, the quietness.
Yeah, the vulnerability.
The vulnerability of the what's actually just a muted piano.
Yeah, it sounded like whimpering a little bit.
Yeah. There used to be a shot after this of outside of Emma getting into her car, the car driving off, and it was this sort of beautiful sunrise shot, actually, a sort of dawn shot that we spent forever shooting, waiting for the right light. Kind of became this sort of, road going to infinity, sort of Charlie Chaplin style, kind of modern times style closing shot. And kind of realized that actually just closing on Ryan's face, starting to play the piano, was infinitely more moving.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We debated endlessly what the end credits music should be.
Oh,
we were
right.
debating this until like 2 days before the final score date.
Well, until a few days before the score date, it was going to be La La Land.
It was going to be a song. We had a title
song.
Yeah. We had a title song called La La Land that we were, at one point it was going to be in the movie, like in the body of the movie, and then we decided against that, and then we were going to put it in the end credits, and started to get uncomfortable about that. So, yeah, we just sort of did an instrumental reprise of Another Day of Sun here. And we debated, too, the shape of the music in the end credits. You know, should it start sad and get happier? Should it start... We did the opposite. We kind of started very uplifting and energetic, and then got smaller and more melancholy and intimate as the credits go on.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, sort of a microcosm of the movie itself.
Yeah.
At least the sort of arc of the movie that we wanted. But yeah, we cycled through a lot of different. I mean, I remember there was a City of Stars themed orchestral thing at the beginning here. There was also Audition we talked about.
Yeah.
A lot of the more, I guess, yeah, more melancholy sort of tracks. And then I think I had just fallen in love with the orchestra only track on Another Day of Sun. You know, basically, the instrumental version.
Well, it's a fun.
It just seemed to kind of hold up, actually, in a really sort of kind of marvelous way. You hear things that you don't hear the first time you hear it in the movie.
Yeah, it's a really fun, very dense, detailed orchestration, but you don't hear much of it in the actual song because there are so many vocals, so many layers of lead vocals and background vocals, and then all the, you know, car foley and everything. So we thought it was fun to just sort of feature that orchestration here.
Yeah, it's just this is one of my favorite pieces of music in the movie. So. It's actually maybe the only one I actually like.
Thank you. This is a trumpet solo by Wayne Bergeron, who the trumpeter who was in our jazz ensemble. We had a great jazz ensemble. It was Randy Kerber on piano, Peter Erskine on drums, Kevin Axt on bass, Bob Shepard on sax, and Wayne Bergeron on trumpet, and Andy Martin on trombone. So we had this sort of moment in this orchestration where there was we thought it could be a spot to have a great solo, so Wayne ripped it up.
Ripped it up?
Yeah, that's what the kids say.
That sounds just
That
like
did
you.
not sound like me at all.
Well, that was my point.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd hear you use the term "ripped it up."
I'm trying to...
Are you trying to sound cool?
Before this commentary's over, I need to leave people thinking
with a good
higher of
feeling
me
of you.
than- Yeah.
You have to dig yourself out of the hole you've just dug during the 2 hours. I remember, when we were editing this movie, I mean, a lot of the, I mean, we've talked about actually some of the stuff at the beginning, that kind of went through different iterations, like the traffic number going in and out. But the ending was kind of, in some ways, not the full sweep of it, but just those little decisions about what kind of image at the end, and do we say the end, do we use a kind of old-fashioned the end card, do we not? Do we end on Ryan's face? Do we end outside? How long do we spend outside if we do? Those little kind of decisions of calibration at the very end, those last few frames of the movie, we wound up kind of going back and forth on a lot. I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty all around, partly because I can probably be open about this now also since the movie's on home video now and everything, because we did not test very well. Though I think that
We tested all right for
cat
what
is out of the bag.
a weird movie it is, but...
Well, we were what was it? Anyway,
70 something, right?
No, our test was 65. Was our
The
first
first
test,
one?
which is you're kind of told that like average, is like average. I think is like 75 or something.
Mhm.
So we were well below average, people were not into the beginning. They were not into the sort of the way we got into the musical landscape. They were also really not into the end. They were not into them being apart at the end. I mean, I guess looking back, most of the stuff people weren't into is not stuff that we changed at all. What we really learned.
Well, we put
was,
traffic back. We put the Another Day of Sun back. That was a big change.
Yeah. But I mean, what we kind of learned the most was what we learned just by sitting there with a group of 500 people watching the movie, and just kind of see. You could just kind of feel what scenes need to go, what scenes are outstaying their welcome, what scenes need to go back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of we sort of went back after that test and sort of reconfigured things a bit, and then tested it again, and we were really happy because we'd gotten up to like a 75.
That was the mid-70s.
And that's where and we thought that's probably as good as we're gonna get. So the whole time I was trying to make myself feel better by reading up on stories like when Wizard of Oz was tested and the test audiences said that they had to cut somewhere over the rainbow, or when Goodfellas or Boogie Nights were tested and people were just like infuriated. I became actually an expert on all the misleading test screenings in history, mainly as my own kind of therapy. Did you go to every test screening?
Yeah.
You went to both of them?
Yeah.
Man, I was such a nervous wreck. And then you sit there and you listen to like a focus group. You sat there during the focus groups, right?
Yeah. People did not like the first two numbers. I remember that was...
Yeah, and that was kind of that was sort of, I remember what I was left with in my mind when we were getting ready to premiere the movie at Venice. Because our last time, our only times showing the movie to a big group of people, I mean, I did lots of little friends and family screenings, but showing in a big theater to a big group of people was during these kind of official test screenings. So getting the movie ready for Venice and going there, opening night, another big group of people, felt very high stakes. It felt very nerve-wracking. We were all sort of sitting there sweating it out. And that was the kind of first unveiling of the finished movie at that point to the rest of the world.
But then they applauded right after Another Day of Sun.
Yeah, we knew we were in better shape. And it's probably as good a time as any to say goodbye. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
Bye.
Bye-bye.